Archie and Alfie's idea. We don't have a title right now because we're still sort of trying to find a suitable, relatable title because it's sort of a very big mix of different things. So our idea, the genre is horror, thriller, slasher. The setting is a modern day, sort of around Trowbridge, sort of Trowbridge Devizes area. So it's quite a big like scale of different areas, and it's a tragedy. It's a story type.
The reason why we are making something like this is like to get a message around for like suicides. So it's going to be love the people around you and like not take granted of them. So like it's like don't ignore them because they're always going to be there for you. It's like kind of the message we want to get from, so that it's like don't feel like you're left out and stuff. Our unique selling point is that through the research that me and Archie have done, we haven't found any short film or like film that we've watched to do anything like similar to what our plan is. So we feel like in doing this, it's gonna cause the audience to be like intrigued on what we're doing, and they're gonna hopefully like it, and like, they'll be intrigued in our idea. That's
Who? So our demographic was 18 to 25 males because we found that males are more into horror movies than females are, and for the level of intensity we wanted the movie to be, or the film, we thought 18 to 25 would be a great sort of area because it's you can sort of get away with a lot more than if it was for younger audiences. And then the platform we were going to put it on or make it for was YouTube because it's a free platform and it's got a lot of variety on there. So the concept, it's a bit of a messed up idea. It was about a boy who fell off a swing and hit his head, and then he's in a coma for a couple of days. He wakes up, and then it fast forwards like a couple of years for probably 20 years. We thought.
yeah.
When he's older.
Adult.
Yeah. And he's got this ability to tell when people are going to kill themselves. But he's a bit of a psychopath, so he doesn't use it for good. He doesn't try to stop them. He goes and watches them. And as he watches all these people die, it sort of flickers back to him as a child, and it turns out he didn't actually wake up from the coma, and he's still in it, and he's made this in his mind, and all the people that have killed themselves in his head is actually his family, and that's his way of saying goodbye to them. And he is about to kill himself as they turn the life support off of his machine.
Our characters, so far we've found 5 people who can be actors in our project. We've got 2 males, 2 females, and a parent that is willing to perform in our project. And like the narrative for our concept is to get a message over that suicide should be like taken seriously and it's not something to joke about.
For our further research, we wanted to continue handing out surveys and asking people with like a microphone, asking them what they thought with some questions and stuff. And we would also like to research more into suicide because it is a very touchy subject, and we really want to handle it properly. So that involves a lot more research into it, as we're both a bit, we don't know a lot about it.
With the surveys, I think we will take like some surveys about suicide, see what people's opinions are, add them onto our concept to base it around that, so that it's not like too touchy to some people, so that they still get the feel for it and realise that it's not something we're joking about and that we're taking it seriously and with like caution. But then, yeah, we're just trying to base it around the audience so that we don't offend any of the audience.
We'd also like to watch more short videos and see what they've done, not necessarily around suicide, but around horror movies in general. See what they've done and maybe get some ideas from them about how they've handled touchy subjects and stuff like that. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening to that. If you have any questions.
Cool. Stu, start this one off, I think.
What research have you done into what research have you done into suicidal videos?
I've done quite a lot into looking at people who have survived suicide attempts and their sort of like what they thought about it. And I've done quite a bit of research into what the families think after people have committed suicide or have tried to commit suicide.
So are you going down a factual route or are you going down a non-factual route, if that makes sense?
Do you mean as in how they...
Yeah, so what with regards to your story, what is it you want the audience to get from it? Is it educational or not educational, or is it just going to be something that's, because you've said that you've gone for a horror thriller sort of slasher side of things, but you're sort of talking about doing it in a respectful way, which I fully agree with, but it's how you're going to go, what's the overarching message for the audience?
We want it to be educational, so that like when the audience watch it, they can see the impact of what suicide can do to families and friends and like other people like with connections, so that like obviously it can be taken seriously, and then people who aren't feeling themselves and like suffering from depression and like thoughts of suicide, they can like get help from it or something.
So what videos have you watched so far?
There's a documentary on the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, and that was really helpful for me to sort of see. There was a guy on there, and he jumped and survived, and he talked a lot about how he's sort of become an advocate for trying to help people prevent suicide and stuff.
Yeah.
And what he thought about when he jumped and just sort of like everything about it.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, I think I've watched that one, because isn't the Golden Gate Bridge the highest rate of suicide attempts?
Yeah. Like
So with that, then how are you going to transport? Because sorry, I know I'm going to just try and keep going on this. I just want to try and get an understanding of the story. Maybe I'm not getting it. I don't know, but because if you go down an educational route, then that's more documentary.
Yeah.
Than
Sort of,
I don't know.
we want to do it in a film-like state, but with a purpose behind it.
So do you want to do it as a cinematic sort of horror thriller / drama, but have that subliminal message and
Yeah.
right? Okay. I think that's where I'm getting it now.
With that message, when you generate your idea,
Yes.
have you tied the message in later, or has it always been this kind of thing that's gone alongside it?
It's more so gone alongside it.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't something I didn't really think about a message behind it until late after I sort of started developing the idea.
Okay.
So it probably does need some work on it.
How long is this?
We want to make it 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
So
So what I'm gonna do, and because I think you boys can take it, I'm gonna be a bit mean now.
okay.
Right. Oh, that's 45 minutes at least, mate. Okay, you've overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
You've got too much going on, and you've overshot. And I think it was similar to things you wanted to do before. I think sometimes we've had this where you overshoot a bit, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it shows that you want to expand, you want to do something big, which is really good.
Yeah.
But I think for where you are now, you've gone too big. You've got a 20-year story. You've got a dream world a real world, you've got to set up this character that he likes doing this thing. You've got to say that he's a bit weird because he enjoys it, but then you want the audience to relate with him. You've got all these different things, which I think all these ideas that have gone.
Yeah.
And what you actually need to do is go, oh no, it's just that, and then I'm going to delete this one. But you've gone, okay, all these are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've gone, okay, that story going to develop. Because for me, it's like it's too big.
Yeah.
It's way too big. Like in 3 to 5 minutes, you can't. Little boy falls off, hits his head, in a coma. Okay, I'm at like how even if that's like clip, I'm at like 30 seconds already, minimum. Then him going out watching these suicides. Okay, so we've got to first explain to the audience that he understands. Like, we've got to make sure the audience knows that he knows when people are about to commit suicide, and then we need to understand that he's going to go out and watch that, and then we need to see him do it, but not just once. He needs to do it multiple times, doesn't he? Yeah. So even if we montage that, we're up to about 2.5-3 minutes. Yeah. So do you see how we're like, by the time you get his story in, I really, 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 really like the idea of this guy who knows when people, not necessarily suicide, I don't know if that...
It started off as sort of just dying in really sort of like horrific ways, but then it sort of formed into suicide because we thought we could have a message behind it and stuff. So that's where the suicide bit sort of come from.
Yeah, I think it's that message. I think it's that want to have the message that has maybe pulled you away from that original idea, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think what you've done is, instead of letting the message evolve, you've gone, oh, here's the message, and tried to pigeonhole it into this story.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think we can get across to the audience that he knows these things are going to happen just by watching him do it. It doesn't have to be suicide, but if you think of how the message can be, you can say, it could be a comment on, you don't need to be as literal, right? People watch fail videos, okay? People watch fail videos. From those videos, people get bloody hurt.
Yeah.
And then the next level up, people watch like dark stuff, like Faces of Death stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
And they watch snuff films at the next, like all these things that are just like right up there. There are people getting off on that, and that becomes more common the more access you have to it. Yeah, I heard you boys the other day talking about like some really nasty stuff you'd all seen. Okay, you would never have seen that if you didn't have the internet and phones, would you? You wouldn't experience those things. So your message, it doesn't have to be overt. Do you know what I mean by overt? Like in your face. It doesn't have to be in your face. It doesn't have to be like, this is exactly it. It can be subtle. It can just be that comment on it. Like, people are watching this horror film, and they're probably getting some satisfaction out of seeing some really messed up people getting hurt, or people getting messed up really badly, aren't they? That's messed up, isn't it?
Yeah.
That can be the comment in and of itself. Like, if you get the people to dislike that main character because he's watching this stuff, but they're doing the same.
Yeah.
And then you're getting them to reflect themselves. That's the way you can kind of spin it more, I would have thought.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that work? Do you think that works better?
Yeah. It's a lot less complex than our idea.
Yeah.
So I was starting to get a bit worried that there was a lot there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it would work a lot better.
Yeah.
The thing that leads me on to next is, I know you talked about is it next door neighbour, your kid?
Yeah.
So you need to be careful of who you cast in these, and the actual how their role is not so much portrayed, but how they put themselves into that role, as in how they act. Are they professional actors? Are they just friends? Or are they, because to sell the story, you need someone to be able to sell the story.
Yeah.
So it's how you go about casting them, whether you actually do maybe a casting call, or obviously clearly you can't pay anyone unless you've got a budget, and then you want to be able to get people that could potentially do that and utilize some of the people that you either don't know or do know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sort of my question for you is what do you think about the characters that you got so far?
A lot of them all of them are from this class, because I've worked with people from drama before, and they're not always the most reliable because you're not paying them. They don't really care about your project. They're there because you've either you're friends with them, but they won't give it their all. And a lot of the time they'll mess around or they won't take it seriously. And I find it's not what I want. I'd rather use less professional actors who try than professional actors who won't.
So one of the things that and obviously I know is in Devices there's quite a big amateur dramatics scene. So that's something that you could maybe look at researching into and approaching those, because those people are very, very good at what they do, and they will give you 100%. And most of them, I don't know all of them, but most of them will be reliable. And that's that. And obviously, I know you're based in Devices as well, so that's the reason I've sort of said that. Which leads me into what sort of locations that you're looking to film in.
We don't know all of them yet because, we didn't know if we need permits for some of them because a couple of them I wanted to film on the streets and stuff, not the deaths obviously, because that's wanted to film those behind closed doors and stuff so people can get freaked out by that. But so like someone walking down the street or something like that, I didn't know what we needed for that, so we need to research that a bit more. But mostly fields, and I know we were going to use my house for one of the deaths. And that's the only sort of two confirmed locations we have right now.
Do you have a budget or not?
Not really. It's just sort of our own money that we're willing to put in.
Right. Okay. Because looking at I know I spoke to you the other day about the 40-hour film thing that I did, and it was called Serum. Even just doing that for that medical scene, we spent, I don't know, 15 quid or something to buy some basic props, some doctors' gowns, masks, potential stuff. If that's what you want to, if that's something that you want to do and see, because obviously didn't you? Yeah, I don't know if you can't remember if you mentioned about showing that that side of things, the medical side of things. So you have that.
Yeah, I mean and that's to do with like the coma element, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think you need it.
No.
I don't think it. I think you, even in the original idea, you don't need the coma moment because it gives it away at the beginning anyway.
A bit of a plot twist at the end.
Yeah.
Of it. And the reason why he's got it.
Yeah.
I thought that's why I would add that in.
I think what you can be aware of is something, especially with something like short films. You're almost coming into something in media res, and what that means is you're coming into a world that is clearly established, and you're not coming in at the beginning. You're not coming in at the original setting of the narrative. You're coming in halfway through a story, and what you can do is you can just expect, as long as you show enough of the world, you can expect the audience to work it out as they go along and understand the world that exists. And I think even to show that he's got this power, it's even something like, ooh, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit with popcorn and just watch this person crash their car or whatever it might be, yeah? And then we instantly know he's either setting it up or he knows about it, so either works, I think if we if you're happy to strip out that suicide thing, which is I think you don't need the coma element, and I think that solves a lot of your problems: location, story, timing. I think what you nail it down to is we watch him observe these horrific things and find joy in them, and I think what's left for you to work out narrative wise is how you end that, and that's interesting in what message you give on that.
Okay.
And that's where your message kind of comes in.
I struggled with in the beginning was thinking of an ending for it because there's no clear ending. Like some movies, you can think of them as like, oh, that's the ending. It doesn't. I can't think of anything that would end it. So that's something I would need to work on.
Yeah. I can help you with that. I can go after that. Okay. Because I can think of some already, so we can talk about that. But there's lots to explore, and I think with that in mind, I think you can go back more towards, your research actually being into issues of decency of what we consume as media consumers, and then really kind of textual analysis of similar products. So I recommended to you Nightcrawler before, which is going to give you that kind of thing. It's also a very influential film from the 70s called Peeping Tom, which you should probably check out. Okay, and basically what you're exploring is what we call voyeurism. So voyeurism and scopophilia, the enjoyment of watching things
Yeah.
that we probably shouldn't be watching. Okay, and that cinema is very cool. You know, it allows us to look at things without them looking back at us. Okay, and that's what you can explore. And there's loads for you to look into research-wise for that, so that can help you in that area.
Didn't Louis Theroux do one?
On voyeurism,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, there's loads. I mean, the whole, you know, if you remember Mulvey's theory of like, that's all voyeurism. Yeah, that's all about the pleasure of looking, and that's what we've got to an extreme. That's what Hitchcock is about. He likes looking at things and being a bit pervy. I mean, if you look at like, do you know Rear Window? I've heard of that, or Suburbia, I think it was called, and they remade it. But basically, it's all about a guy who he's broken his leg, so he's stuck in his apartment, but he can watch all the other apartments. He sees all this weird stuff going on, and murder and adultery and all these things, and he gets so much joy out of it. But then someone notices him, and he witnesses something he shouldn't witness, and they come after him. So it's about that punishment of voyeurism, and that's essentially what you can explore in yours. So you've got all these original texts. It dates back to the very beginning of kind of psychoanalytical theory being applied in construction of narratives. Okay, so that's something you can really look into and build from. So I think if you strip yours back to what it was at the core, and don't worry about fluffing up and fancying it out, it's already there. It's where it needs to be already. It just needs an end.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Nope. I just wrote down crime videos here. Look at crime videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have research in that side of things.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Good boys.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
cool.